Hi, this is Leonard for Cosmic Sound here. I'm here today to talk to you about what I think is an excellent new product from Native Instruments, the Traktor S4. Now, there's been a lot of these sort of things on the market before from many different manufacturers. Most of them have been aimed at the mobile DJ market, but I think this one here is probably the first one which you may actually see being used by club DJs. So now I'm just going to take you through a few features of it and show you how it works. For anyone that's used Traktor before, you'll find the interface to be pretty familiar. Your 4 decks at the top, your browser at the bottom, your effects at the top. What I just want to show you is what's on the controller. So you've got your 2 decks. Each one of these will actually control 2 decks in itself, and your mixer section in the middle. At the top here we have got the effects section. Right below that we've got the jog wheel. Now these actually feel pretty good for a jog wheel. Most of the ones on these controls can feel a little bit tacky. This one's actually got a nice weight to it. It's quite similar to using a CDJ, so if you're into that kind of mixing, you should do pretty well with this thing. You've got your looping section here, samples, cue points, and general playback and sync controls at the bottom. In the middle you've got your mixer, gain controls at the top, 3-band EQ, independent filter on each channel, which is really good. Move it to the right and you get a high pass filter. If you move it to the left, we've got a low pass filter. It has 2 modes within the software, either the standard ladder filter or you've got an emulation of the Allen Heath zone filter. Simple cue button for headphone cueing, faders and crossfader. You've got 2 ways you can browse. First one's just to hit the browse button. Use your browse knob to select your track, and then each of your cue buttons actually becomes a load button, so it's very easy to pick which deck you want to load to. Second way to do it is even simpler. Just use your browse knob and then hit the load button on either deck. Obviously if you want to load to deck D, for example, you'd actually select deck D first and then hit load. So we'll just get one going just to show you a few things that this can do. We've got our loop section here, so I can easily engage a loop. You can change the loop size from this knob here, get it right down to 30-second note, or as much as 32 bars. The knob on this side you can use to move the entire loop within the track, like so, and you can click either one of them to disengage the loop. Below here we've got the sample slots, which I'll come to later. And below that we've got our hot cues. Now you probably want to set these up before you play, or you can set them on the fly if that's what you want to do. They just simply jump around to the different points that you've set in the track. And down the bottom here we've got the sync button, which is very important if you want to keep your tracks together. Your play button and your cue button, just to move back to your initial cue point. Now with your second 2 decks you've got a choice. You can either set it up as I've got here on deck D as a normal 3rd deck or 4th deck, or you can use what they call the sample deck as I've got set up here on channel C. The sample deck basically holds 4 samples which you can load in from your browser, or you can record live out of the tracks that you've got playing, or from your loop recorder, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. So if I get a track playing, say for example I was in a loop and I wanted to record that loop. All I need to do is set the loop value to the amount of time that I want to record, and then simply hit one of these buttons here. And now what will happen, I can pull this down and that will actually be playing on deck C. You can layer 4 of these up. If I move on to deck C control, I can also filter and click to disengage. Same thing happens if you go left, you get a low pass filter. And the other thing I've got is volume control over, it controls all 4 at once, but that's still pretty cool. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the loop recorder in the middle here. Now it's a little bit different to your sample decks. What you can do with this, you have a choice of recording from 3 different sources, from either your master, from an individual channel, or from a microphone that's plugged in. So it's really cool if you want to do a little bit of live sampling, send it to a sample deck and then you can play with it on the fly as much as you want. So just to get this going, let's assume I've got a few tracks playing. One thing I could do is say I wanted to have my beat masher on. There we go. So I wanted to take a recording of that. All we want to do is check up here that it's set to main, hit record. It's now recorded 4 beats, so I can turn that off. Obviously you do this all on the fly, you want to get your buttons a lot faster. Now if I turn this knob to the right, it's basically a wet-dry knob of your loop recorder. You can hear that's the loop I've just recorded. You can go back to the original. Now where this becomes really cool is you can actually layer up more layers on that original loop, and when I'm happy with it, I can go browse, select this, and then I can pick a sample slot here to send that to. Just know that's now on deck C, so I basically get my loop recorder back to record something different. There you go. That's the loop I've just recorded there, now sent to deck C. The other really cool thing on here, which is the thing that Traktor's probably the most famous for, is its awesome effects. You get the same bundle with this as you'll get with Traktor Pro, so quite a lot. You have two options with effects. You can either run what they call a chain effect or an advanced effect. Chain effect is essentially 3 effects which are run in series. You have a button to initiate each one of them and a knob to control one parameter, wet dry knob on the left. Or you can have an advanced effect, which is just one effect with 3 parameters that you can control. I'll just show you what each of these sounds like. First one I've just got is a very simple effect, just a delay setup on this one. So I've got wet dry control, and I've got 3 parameters that I can adjust to change the sound of the delay. Also got a couple of buttons which do some cool things. This one freezes the delay. So the other choice you've got is the chain effect. Probably the one thing that Traktor's lacking is a loop roll feature. So if you have Traktor and you want to get loop roll happening, this is the way to do it. So chuck a beat masher in each slot, set each one to a different value, and then simply play the buttons. If you want to cycle through your effects, you can do this from the controller as well, very, very easily, just by holding down the shift key and clicking the button at the top here, or if you're on a chained effect, you click any one of the 3 here. You can see I'm moving through effects, and then it's very easy to just drop it in and the effect's happening. I'd also mention with these shift keys, it's very important to learn what they do, because most things on the controller will do something different if you hold down the shift key. It's one really good feature of the Control X1, and it's the same on here. Connectivity wise, there's quite a bit going on the back of this thing. First thing, you've got 2 pairs of outputs, one on RCA, one on 1/4 inch jacks. On the other far side here, we've got MIDI in out, so this is really good if you, for example, wanted to hook in something else to your existing setup, like machine or other external outboard gear that you want to sync to your mix. The other really cool thing you get here is 2 external inputs. Now, this can be for a microphone, as I mentioned with a loop recorder, that can be quite a cool thing to do. You could use it to stream straight through from a CD player or an MP3 player. It does have phono preamps built in, so you can connect a turntable. But where these things are going to come in very handy is when the software update comes out that allows timecode to be connected to the system. So that means you'll be able to use essentially Traktor Scratch Pro through your Traktor Control S4. I mentioned earlier that I think this could actually be used in the club, but I actually just want to go through very quickly why I think that. Firstly, it gives you a lot of flexibility to work however you want to work. As mentioned, you've got 4 decks, you've got samplers, you've got looping, you've got effects. It pretty much does everything that a Traktor Pro setup will do for you, except it's all contained in this. You don't have to carry around a range of different controllers and hook into an existing mixer. Everything's contained right here for you. And build quality is a lot better than some of the other ones on the market as well. So I don't think it'll happen overnight, but I can certainly see the potential for this to be used in clubs as time moves on. So we've been looking at a new product from Native Instruments, the Traktor Control S4. It's an excellent new product. I think this is going to be a really big thing coming into the next year. We've got stock now, so please come down and see us at Cosmic Sound for a demo.